is going down, Sourdough Squad? I hope you guys are having a phenomenal Saturday. We were out at practice again today, watching all the good things happening at 49ers training camp. Saw some good, saw some not so good. We're going to talk about all of the goods right now. But before we do, you guys already know the vibes. Smash that like button if you're watching on YouTube. And then on anywhere you're watching, drop an SDS in the chat if you're vibing with this sourdough boy. Shout out to all the homies already dropping in here. Let's go. We see the bread gang out early. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. And let's talk a little bit about the 49ers today. We're going to talk about Spencer Burford. We're going to talk about the offensive line. We're going to talk about all that good stuff. But first, let's talk about Trey Lance. Let's talk about the last drive. And let's talk about kind of Trey Lance's day leading up to the last drive, because it wasn't perfect. It wasn't seamless. And shout out all the SDS. We see you guys out there on Instagram. Good to see you guys vibing too. How do you become an SDS? It's really simple. All you got to do is either like, subscribe to either whatever platform you're on, bring good energy, good vibes, and rep the Sourdough Squad. That's it. You're in. You are in. But shout out everyone dropping. Let's talk a little bit about Trey Lance, though. Let's talk a little bit about how we can take what happened today and look at it from a perspective of, hey, man, Trey Lance is continuing to progress. Again, I think a lot of people want to see perfection out of Trey Lance, and I get it, rightfully so. People want just to hear from training camp, oh, Trey Lance has been perfect. But since before training camp, we've talked about on this channel, that can't be the expectation. The expectation for Trey Lance is that he grows. The expectation from Trey Lance is that he gains experience. And we got to see a little bit of that today. And it was actually really good to see, because Trey Lance had some really good throws on the day. Whether it was in one-on-ones, early team periods, he had some good throws. But he also came up with the interception to Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward had a really nice pick on the play. Looked like it would have been a house call. Looks like Trey also would have had potentially in another interception to Emmanuel Mosley, but it looks like Emmanuel Mosley dropped it. So again, we don't expect perfection from Trey. We expect growth. We expect a trend in the right direction. It's okay if he comes out and is a little bit inconsistent here or there, but this is why I was really excited about today. When I've been on here and I've been talking about Trey Lance, a lot of the things that I've talked about with Trey is he's really good on this throw, on that throw, this situation, that situation. You do see some inconsistencies here or there, and we've talked about that's to be expected. But today, they started to pull out more situational in the sense of team period. And they did a 2-minute drill, and they did a 2-minute drill. You can see they put a time on the clock. They put about 1 minute and 5 seconds on the clock, I believe. They put the football on the 20-yard line. So imagine a team kicks a field goal or something like that, and you have to come down the field. They kick it off, touchback or whatever, and you have to drive down the field in 1 minute and 5 seconds to score a touchdown, because it's a move the ball period for the offense. And Trey Lance just looked different. There was like a different vibe to this period. Obviously, we understand when you're trying to move the ball, you're in hurry up mode. you're not thinking as much. You're more reactive. You're more just all your instincts are kicking in. And I've always looked at Trey Lance, when there's been so much conversations about his mechanics. Well, part of his mechanics, there's a rhythm to it. He has a rhythm to his throwing motion. He has a rhythm in how he gets the football out. It starts with his feet and it works all the way up, and it's like a rhythm. Well, when Trey was in rhythm today in 2-minute period, just moved the ball, he was looking really good. He threw a dart to George Kittle on the left sideline instantly to get the ball moving downfield. Just you could see it. Like you can tell when someone is like you can feel like the confidence oozing out of these guys sometimes. And he just dropped back, let it rip, came out on a dart, hit Kittle. Kittle was able to turn up field and get somewhere in the range of, 10, 15 yards, something along those lines. And we're like, okay, good start, good start. Good start. That's what we like to see. He had another play where he kind of scrambled a little bit, had to shake and bake a little bit, get out of the pocket, make something happen, and then he comes back and then delivers another strike to Debo Samuel over the middle. And then they're running up to the line. They're trying to move as fast as possible because it is a 2-minute, less than a 2-minute period. And then he comes right back and goes to George Kittle again for a first down. There's another play where he had to use his feet yet again. And again, there's only a minute and 5 on the clock. They started at their 20. They got to drive 80 yards downfield to score a touchdown. And then this play, it was just beautiful. They hike the ball to him. He's in the pocket. He's kind of flushed up to the left a little bit. So he kind of moves up to the left. But Ray McLeod is kind of to the right side. So his forward momentum is kind of taking him to the left, kind of up and out the pocket. And when when you're moving up and to the left, he kind of had to throw. It wasn't across his body, it was opposite direction. And so he kind of was stepping up and to the left, throwing across, kind of back to his right, and just slung a dart. Just slung a dart to Ray McLeod for a touchdown. That team period was honestly something that was really good to see. The way they moved the football, the way in which he kind of had this confidence in his body language and the way he was throwing the football, again, I look at Trey Lance when he throws the football, I see a rhythm thrower. He has this rhythm, like rhythmic motion to the way he throws. I'm not surprised that when he is moving in team period, man, the bots are crazy on Instagram. When he's moving through that situation and he can find a rhythm, he looks pretty good. He looks pretty good when he's just like, all right, eyes forward, let's get this done. And they moved the ball all the way down. They moved the ball 80 yards down the field with 1 minute and 5 seconds on the clock. Kittle involved. You got Debo involved, and then the touchdown to Ray McLeod. We got to see him use his feet to do all the different types of things. So it was really nice to see. Again, like there's this weird world that exists where people are expecting Trey Lance to be Patrick Mahomes. And whenever we have that conversation with someone, we're always like, whoa, 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 whoa. Pump the brakes. Just because he has a ceiling that could be Patrick Mahomes doesn't mean we expect him to be Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes is absolutely an outlier, not the exception to the rule. Let's see. Jason says, prime Michael Crabtree or Brandon Aiyuk right now? Easiest question of my life. Brandon Aiyuk right now. Brandon Aiyuk right now. I don't even have to think about it. Don't like if if you can, bro, if you guys don't want to deal with bots on Instagram, come on over to YouTube. We are streaming on YouTube. The audio's better, the visuals are better. Come join us on YouTube. Make the great migration over to YouTube. I promise you, it's much better than the bot infested Instagram. And then make sure if you do make the great migration on over to YouTube, say what's up, hit that sub button and the like button on your way in. But I was asked by Jason on YouTube, prime Michael Crabtree or Brandon Aiyuk right now. Bro, it's Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk is doing things again in practice against a very good defense that, let's face it, Crabtree was good. Crabtree was good, but he's limited in a sense. Brandon Aiyuk is going crazy right now. Like if you really gave me the option, prime Michael Crabtree or Brandon Aiyuk right now, I am taking Brandon Aiyuk. I'm taking Brandon Aiyuk. I hope you've been at training camp because I think you would feel the same way after you've seen what I've seen. Oh, we got people selling shirts. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. I need mods over here on freaking IG. What the hell? This is crazy. Well, I'm probably gonna shut down IG here pretty soon, anyways. So let's see. Dabbing Hyena says 200 viewers and nowhere near 100 likes. Come on, baby. SDS can do better than that. But again, the original thesis of what we are talking about, and I will take questions too. We're definitely going to take questions. I want to hear or comments from you guys. But the biggest thing that I'm looking for Trey Lance is progressions through training camp, progressions through potentially preseasons, and then progressions through the seasons. I think if you talk to anyone who covers this team, you know, I got to shout out some guys really quick. Was at lunch today after practice with, the managing editor of Niners Nation, Kyle Posey, staff writer for Niner Nation, Jordan Elliott, the hosts of the Locked On podcast, Eric Crocker and Brian Peacock, also podcast extraordinaire, Jason Aponte. We were all just kind of eating lunch. We're all talking about this. I think we all kind of agree in that same regard. Like we all kind of believe, like we think this year is going to be a bit of a progress. We're not totally invested into like him being amazing right away. We want to see the progression throughout the year. We want to see how he starts. We want to see how he finishes. And the hope is in between there, you get to be able to see the progression for Trey Lance. Also, too, shout out those guys. Those guys are dope. Make sure you guys are reading Niners Nation. You are listening to Locked On Podcasts with those guys. Great content creators. The 49ers, man, we have so many good content creators. It's unbelievable. So shout out all the homies out there grinding 49ers content for all the faithful 49er faithful, man. We are so blessed with the amount of content creators that go into providing coverage for the 49ers, and you have so many different types of coverages. Like you can really find anything that you want to find. It's pretty awesome. So I want to shout out those guys. And also too, if you are on Instagram and you do want to continue to join, because there's a lot of bots over here, so hop on over to the SF Niners YouTube. We're going to continue the conversation. I'm going to kill the bot live because shout out Instagram and their wonderful application. They do such a good job with it. But I'm out of here on Instagram. We're going to keep the conversation going on YouTube. Instagram, terrible. Just terrible. Anyways, back to what we want to talk about. Also, smash that like button. What are we doing? Smash that like button. Let's get this thing to the moon. Danny Gray was sleeping. There's an update. He says, any Danny Gray updates? Danny Gray is sleeping. Debo caught Danny Gray, passed out. Hey, it happened, man. It happens. My Danny Gray update is this. Danny Gray smoked. I don't know who it was, but he smoked 2 defenders. Man, I got to go back and watch this. I haven't watched it yet. So I got to watch the BY speech, getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. Haven't watched it yet. Definitely got to watch that. No spoiler alerts. But back to the Danny Gray update. Danny Gray absolutely cooked 2 DBs. I don't know who the DBs were. They were on the far field today. So again, when they are on the far field, the visuals are difficult. But hey, we make it work because that's what we do. We grind the tape. We grind all of it. So Danny Gray absolutely obliterated 2 defensive backs. I don't know who they were, but they were definitely a solid 2 steps behind Danny Gray. Danny Gray just cooked. It was like bracketed coverage. So he was like bracketed. He had 2 guys on him. He cooked them. He left them with at least a solid 2 steps. Brock Purdy launched a deep bomb and still out through Danny Gray. But Danny Gray was cooking. Danny Gray speed is real. It's legitimate. If he wants to cook you, he will. Some couple good questions popping in. Let me get to some of them. Angel Navarro, appreciate the super chat, says, what was Kittle popping off today? He popped off in team period. During the team period, he had two completions, probably in the ballpark of, total 25 to 30 yards. Big plays that helped them move the ball. Kittle's actually been he's had a couple drops throughout training camp, which I think is kind of like he hasn't been like talked about a whole lot throughout training camp, just I think because of that. But he had a really good 2-minute drill. Definitely was in the mix of it all. Again, the 2-minute drill out of anything that I've seen from the 49ers feels like the most translatable period to like what the 49ers are going to look like in a game. Because in these team periods, let me break it down what the team periods look like. It's first, second, and third string. First string comes in for 3 plays. Second string comes in for 3 plays. Third string comes in for 3 plays. Rinse, wash, and repeat. It's really hard to get into a rhythm when you only get 3 plays. And then within those 3 plays, tons of people are shifting out. So this move the ball period, which was a 2-minute drill simulation, they got the same guys on the field. They got an extended drive. It was actually like they were playing football. And as a result, they looked really good. And Kittle had a really good period where he made 2 really good catches. Kittle looked good on one-on-ones as well. But yeah, Kittle definitely is not to be worried about. We know Kittle's going to do Kittle things for sure. Peyton says, I'm scared we're going to lose a lot of contract players on defense next year, like Eman, Aziz, Trey, Jimmy, etc., to where even D'Amico, to wherever D'Amico goes next year. Wow, that's actually a really good point. I know we're looking a little far ahead. I know we're looking a little far ahead, but that's actually a really good point. D'Amico Ryans is definitely going to be one of the hottest head coaching candidates. Eman, Aziz, Dre, Jimmy need to get paid, but guess who needs to get paid too? His name is Nick Bosa, and he is going to be one of the highest paid players ever, if not potentially the highest non-quarterback player to ever get paid. Um, I've talked to people that are close, within the organization that talk about like John Lynch and his relationship with Nick Bosa. Like they're absolutely going to pay this man. Like if you have any concerns that Nick Bosa isn't going to get paid, just put those to the side. Nick Bosa is going to get paid. I was talking to someone who knows all the good stuff, and he was like, "Man, John Lynch loves Nick Bosa. Like he loves him. Like, and we've heard it. We've heard him openly talk about how Nick Bosa will get paid. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. So Nick Bosa is going to get paid. He's going to get paid an exorbitant amount of money, and rightfully so. But this is a good. It's a little bit. It is into the future, but it is something that we are going to have to worry about when the season's all said and done. What's going to happen with E-Man, Aziz, Dre, and Jimmy? We know Bosa's going to get paid, but what is the trickle down effect? You know what I mean? What is the trickle down effect? And these guys could be definitely part of that. Shout out to Matt Ramirez for the super chat. I like the profile picture too. I know I posted that and I love it. I love seeing pictures that I've posted. I know I put like these little like edits on them so I can tell when they're the photos that I've posted. Shout out Matt. Guarantee you got that from Instagram. So shout out my guy supporting across all platforms. And shout out to anyone else who is rocking with the SF Niners on multiple platforms. But I saw another good question up here from Brian. And again, if you guys want to ask questions, I'll turn it over to you guys. Actually, if you want to ask questions and you kind of want to drive the show of what we talk about, and if we don't get any questions, I still got plenty to talk about. But if you guys do want to kind of get your my thoughts or what I'm seeing at training camp, because there was a lot of other good things that we haven't talked about yet that I'll get to, but this is one of them. Brian says, Brad, what do you think of the Jordan Mills signing? Not going to lie, I like it. Not going to lie, I like it. Really. Not going to lie. I like it. Let me go back to my notes. I think I had Jordan Mills winning two one-on-one reps. He lost one. No, three? Two or three. No, 1, 2, 3. So 3 wins that I have noted. I know he got kind of locked up on one, but Mills, like right off the bat, very stout in pass protection. Very stout. To the point where he's getting wins in one-on-one. He's got a really strong base. And he's a really good ability. He's big. He's big. And I think it's gonna actually low key, like we'll see how that translates to team. We'll see how that translates into the running game. But when I was locked in on him in 1v1 drills today, Jordan Mills looked pretty good. He looked better than some other guys that have been on the roster all training camp. So, hey, I like that. He's looked pretty good so far. Definitely looks like a good pass protector. Hard to tell to evaluate him in the run, but so far looks good in pass protection. Liked it. Definitely liked it so far. Let's see here. William says, has Jordan Mason flashed anything during camp or getting first team reps? I have not seen first team reps from Jordan Mason. However, Jordan Mason looks really good. He continues to look good. I haven't really seen a practice where he hasn't looked good. Again, the 49ers have a phenomenal problem on their hands. They have a lot of really good running backs. Uh, TDP has stacked 2 very good practices back to back. Admittedly, hadn't seen a whole lot from TDP. When I look at Ty Davis Price earlier in camp, you go back and I look at my notes, like not a lot of good things about TDP. But the last 2 days, a flip has switched and he looks really good. TDP is even running with the ones ahead of Trey Sermon. So Elijah Mitchell looks good. Not much of a shocker there. Elijah Mitchell has some big plays. Looked really, really good, especially yesterday um, or the day before. Excuse me. But TDP looks good, man. TDP looks good. Like, I'm glad I drafted him high in fantasy. It feels like right now, the 1-2 punch is Elijah Mitchell and TDP. I still think they kinda like Jeff Wilson in that hybrid role. Jeff Wilson's looked good. Um, I think they like him as a pass catcher out of the backfield. Again, they like to pull him across the formation and do all those types of things. Um, Trey Sermon looks good. Jermichael Hasty looks good, catching passes out of the backfield. So the 49ers have a great problem at running back right now. They have an absolutely great problem. I'm going to get to these super chats. Make sure you guys don't wait too long. Aloha Smitty, appreciate the super chat, my guy. Hope things are going well for you over there on the beach. I'm jealous. Uh, how does the center competition look? So today it continues to be a revolving door um, with the center position. Previous practice, Brunskill got first reps. Now, Jake Brendel. So my thing with Brunskill, I know exactly what Brunskill is. I know what he's good at. The issues he's having is with kind of ball placement and shotgun. That's about it. But I will say Brendel has looked good too. They look pretty evenly matched at the moment. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I know the offensive line coach, Chris Forster, when he spoke to the media earlier this week, you can really tell he is a big Jake Brendel guy. He is a big Jake Brendel guy. Definitely wants definitely get the sense that he wants Jake Brendel to start. But I will continue to say the offensive line has looked better. Now, I saw someone asking earlier about Burford, so I'll get into those. Actually, let me get to this other super chat first because I want to make sure put you guys at the front of the list. But so far, it's not like they're bad. It's like they're both pretty equally matched at center. I think Brendel and Brunskill, they're pretty, they both have their things that they're good at, but they're both pretty evenly matched as well. So I think it's really going to come down to preference at the end of the day of what they want to do inside that building. I feel confident with Brunskill. They feel confident with Brendel. But they keep switching. They keep rotating. So we'll see. It feels like it's gonna be something that they continue. It's gonna be like it feels like a week one decision. It feels like they're gonna go into preseason games. They're gonna have Brendel start a preseason game. They're gonna have Brunskill start a preseason game, and then they're gonna kind of determine how they want to move into the season. So I don't anticipate the competition will be over anytime soon, but we'll continue to monitor that because it's been something they've been switching and splitting every day. It's a true competition. Like when you talk about competitions in football and positions for winning the starting job, that is the definition of a competition right now between Brendel and Brunskill. So we'll see who actually brings it home. Besides Bosa, who is your top 3 D linemen that have impressed you? Great question, Angel, and thank you again for the super chat. This is a really good one. Kamoko Ture. Kamoko Toure has really impressed me. He's impressed me from day one of camp. He was a player that I was excited when they signed him. I really liked his ability. He again kind of suffered an injury late last year that kind of stopped his push forward with the Colts. But Kamoko Toure, man, again, I was watching with Jordan Elliott at Niners Nation, and we were just like going back and forth about Kamoko, and just he was going up against school, and like Jordan was pointing out, um, Kamoko has a really good knack for pushing upfield speed and counter spin inside. So he'll push to the outside, right? So he's like working his outside pass rush. The goal and what he's trying to do is he's trying to get the offensive line to open to him. And so, just like a cornerback, right? When you're a wide receiver and you're running your routes, you're trying to manipulate the hips of the cornerback because the second you get the cornerback to commit his hips one way or the other, you can then counter off of that direction and then they get crossed up. Same thing goes for the offensive line. Offensive line is trying to hold their gate, which is what we call it before you swing it open. They're trying to hold their gate as long as possible to be able to anticipate a counter inside move. Well, Kamoko Toure, man, he pushes this outside speed, which he is capable of, and then he counters with this inside spin move. So there's a spot within the pocket that these defensive linemen they know where they need to get to. He gets to that spot, counters inside. Wow, he's going to make this team. He's going to make this team, and he's going to be a good player within that rotation. Uh, Kevin Givens doesn't get talked about enough. Kevin Givens has been the literal mainstay as the starter interior defensive tackle all throughout training camp. And Kevin Givens is really good in that position. So Kamoko Toure, Kevin Givens is another one. And I'll give you four. Charles Omenihu and Robert Kimdichie. Um, those guys have looked really, really solid. Like Kimdichie definitely is a high motor player, but he's very physical, very aggressive, and he can play, you know, over the center. He could shift out to the three tech. I wouldn't put him as a defensive end. It's not like he can't do that. But one of the things that's really cool about Omenihu, again, he's like that Arden Key. He's like that Arden Key. He can play that same role, whether he plays on the outside in the wide nine or he kicks down into the three tech. Um, Omenihu looks like a guy that can be definitely factor for the 49ers. Ebukam looks really good. Like 49ers are in good shape, and that's with a couple guys injured. But great question by Angel, and also thank you for the super chat. Peyton says, "How does Hassan Ridgeway look? He's been injured. He got injured pretty early in camp, so we haven't seen a whole lot of him so far. But we'll see. But it's just again more reinforcements that will come back. Let's see here. Let me come. Oh, let's go. Caleb says, SDS Brad, yours truly coached Blue to a win last night. Congrats, my guy. We shouted you out and your team for your game last night. It looks like you came away victorious, only like the SDS do. J10 said TDP could have broke off 50-yard runs today, according to Lombardi. Yeah, dude, it's not just me saying it. Like, and again, I was someone who was like, "Oh, TDP hasn't looked that great. He's looked good in spurts, but TDP, he looks like a different player these last 2 days." And again, he's a rookie, and you got to get your footing. You got to understand the playbook. You got to learn your offensive linemen. You got to learn their blocking tendencies. all those different types of things. So TDP looks good, man. TDP looks good. You should be happy with TDP's progress so far. He gets the SDS stamp of approval. Um, we're going to go ahead and stamp TDP two consistent days in a row. Let's see if we can make it 3 from TDP. So far, 2. So far, 2 really good days. Starting to see some of the physicality come out. You get to see the cuts, you get to see the vision, you get to see the burst, but he's starting to lower that shoulder and lower the boom. TDP could turn out to be a pretty dynamic back. Again, I don't see him being a dynamic back outside the tackle, like at least yet, from an outside zone perspective. But mid zone, traps, counters, more of a power style run game up front, more gap schemes. He could definitely do some work this year. Williams says, "Do you think Mills signing was to allow Moore to shift the guard?" No, Moore's hurt. It sounds like Moore's going to be down a couple weeks. So Moore's hurt at the moment. So it was more of a reaction to injury than anything else. And again, if you didn't hear, the 49ers signed Mills today. They also signed Willie Snead, former Ravens, former Saints, former million other teams, but he's a good receiver. He stayed after practice today, working on routes, working on release packages and things like that. So Willie Snead, new 49er, and Mills, also a new 49er. So far, not so bad. Not so bad at all. Who gets cut from the running back D line? Oh, this is going to be a hard one, man. It's going to be a hard one. It might be Jeff Wilson. It might be Jeff Wilson, not because Jeff Wilson isn't capable. Like the running back room looks great. Elijah looks good. TDP definitely is not getting cut. There's 2. Those 2 are making it. Then, okay, Trey Sermon, high draft pick, traded up to get him. That accounts for something, and he looks better. So today, in that particular period, where's move the ball? I don't think it was a 2-minute drill, but it was a move the ball period. Trey Sermon, they had Elijah Mitchell running, they had TDP running in the move the ball period. But when it came to 4th and 1, they put in Trey Sermon to just run straight up the middle, and Trey Sermon converted. So that feels like a glance at what the 1-2-3 punch could look like. And then on top of that, they're going to have a 3rd down role for a 3rd down running back. Who's that going to be? So it honestly feels like this. It feels like 1 is Elijah, 2 is TDP, 3 is Trey Sermon. That feels like the 1-2-3 punch rotation for running in between the tackles, outside the tackles. Then when it comes to 3rd down back, whether it's pass blocking or catching out of the backfield, it's going to be either Mason, Hasty, or Jeff Wilson. They're probably only going to keep 4 running backs. Do they keep 5? I don't know. You could make the argument they keep 5. You could make the argument, but that means you're either keeping maybe 1 less lineman, you're maybe keeping 1 less wide receiver, you're keeping juice. You keeping juice. So I don't want to be the person to make that decision. I'll tell you that. I don't want to be the person to make the decision of who gets cut from the running back position, because Jordan Mason is good enough to make the team, Jermichael Hasty is good enough to make the team, and Jeff Wilson are good enough to make the team. And I think that's who it's really going to come down to. It really feels like the locks right now are, again, TDP, Mitchell, Sermon, and the other guys are good too, but like I don't want to make that decision. Defensive line, who's going to get cut? I don't know. That's another really good question because there's so many good defensive linemen on this team. I don't know, man. Could be maybe Jordan Willis sneaks through, maybe he doesn't. Kerry Hyder definitely has a role on this team. I'm trying to think who else. Again, Mohurst goes to IR. Kinlaw's definitely being eased back in at his own pace. Uh, so I don't know. I wish I could give you a definitive answer. But again, this is why it's a good problem to have because there are that many guys balling out right now. There are that many guys balling out. Probably a good reason why I would not be a good person to cut the final 53 because I'd want everyone. I'd be calling to the league offices, be like, how do we extend this roster to 75? Like 53 isn't enough. 53 isn't enough. But again, guys who will probably get cut: Tomasai, Luletti, Akeem Spence has looked not bad, but Akeem Spence probably doesn't sneak through. Uh, we'll see about that. I think Jordan Willis is kind of right there on that edge because again, Kamoko Toure, Charles Omenihu, Kerry Hyder, and Samson Ebukam definitely feel like a big part of this. Of course, you got Eric Armstead. Kevin Atkins probably isn't going to make it. So Robert Kimdichie, I think, is right there on that edge if he makes it or not. So we'll see. Those names feel like they could be on the edge so far. Um, let's see what other stuff do we want to talk about? Debo and Trey are starting to get. I agree. Willis say he definitely saved our season, 100%. But there's a log jam because even Alex Barrett has played well. At least in one-on-ones, Alex Barrett looks pretty good. But I don't know if he makes a roster. So we'll see. I bet they find a way to keep Jordan Willis for sure. Um, but I think they're going to opt for more of these edge guys that can play interior as well, opposed to keeping strictly interior defensive linemen. You look at Eric Armstead, he can play inside out. You look at Kamoko Toure, he can even play inside out. Omenihu can play inside out. Drake Jackson can play inside out. So, like, if the 49ers just even Jordan Willis could probably play a little bit inside. So if you just have this roster of defensive line hybrids, I could see it happening. But we'll see, man. We'll see. That's why I'm glad I'm not cutting the roster at this point. Jay Tan says, Brad, can you talk about how Trey was gripping the ball wrong the whole time because the injury and just got into a bad habit, but has it been corrected all the way yet? This is, I think, an underrated talking point for around Trey Lance's development this year. I think a lot of things around Trey Lance, the throwing mechanics, all these types of things, like there's so many so many small nuances that go into Trey Lance and what he's doing. This one we just found out about, like really found out about the other day. Trey Lance went on with Greg Papa and John Lund at KMBR after practice. And if you didn't hear about it, well, you're going to hear about it now. Trey Lance, again, he busted his pointer finger on his throwing hand against the Raiders on a throwaway pass. He smacked it on the helmet of someone else. So when you throw a football, the way you grip it, right? You grip it, you let it rip, it spins off your pointer finger because if you listen to people who teach you how to throw, they'll tell you to you want to like flip your thumb down. So when you flip your thumb down, the ball is rotating off your pointer finger. Well, because he had a broken pointer finger, that transfer went from here to his middle finger. So then he had to adjust his hand placement on the football to allow it to essentially roll off his middle finger opposed to your pointer finger. And as a result, he gripped the ball differently. It means his hand started to walk up the laces. Um, it changes the whole dynamic of how you hold and throw a football. So he talked about that and how, as a result of trying to play around and overcompensate for the finger injury on his pointer, it changed the way he was gripping the football. And he had to reteach himself how to grip the ball correctly and then rethrow properly. So, like, when I see Trey Lance throw deep, he's throwing tight spirals. Like, the balls look it it looks really good coming out of his hand, all those types of things. When he's throwing with, like, velocity, it looks really good. He actually it feels like he throws the biggest wobblers when he's trying to touch it, like a touch pass, like, and he's trying to kinda lob it in there. That's when he's trying to, like, work on the kind of, again, the touch finesse aspect to his throwing. That's when I've seen the wobble kinda come into play, but when he's, like, just when he's rifling it and he's throwing it hard, whether close or far, the thing comes out pretty good. It's kinda when he tries to throw the touch passes, which is where you kind of get back to your extremities. You kind of flick your wrist a little bit different. You kind of put a little spin on it a little bit differently. It's not all arm, it's more touch. So that feels like a pretty easy correlation to make. So yeah, he's correcting it. Has he corrected it all the way? I don't think so. Again, I talk about, the touch passes. I think you could attribute some of the wobbly throws from his touch passes to kind of, again, the way he's gripping the ball. It might not translate well to spinning off his finger the right way. Um, but again, none of the wobble that I've seen has been anything to be like, oh, like the wobble gate is out of control at this point. It's absolutely out of control. But good point. And another thing to bring up, uh, Jason Poe. Can we talk about Jason Poe a little bit? I know I got pretty hyped talking about Jason Poe when the 49ers signed him and they brought him in, and we got real excited about Jason Poe. Like, oh, is he gonna play fullback? Like, what's Jason Poe gonna be? Like, super, super, super excited. Uh, like, we didn't know, like, is he gonna be like a fullback? What's Jason Poe gonna be? Jason Poe looks like he's gonna be an offensive lineman. Jason Poe has went from third string, and he's officially bumped up to second string. So that's pretty good for an undrafted free agent, man. To kind of see him, Jason Poe, already progressing, jumping into the second unit with the offensive line, um, and he's doing well. Like, when you watch him in one on ones, he's really good at holding his ground. He's really good at anchoring. When it's Jason Poe one-on-one against a defensive tackle trying to overpower him, again, playing on the O-line is all about leverage, and he has the strength behind it, so he can create this angle and anchor where, it's like a doorstop. Think of a doorstop, right? A doorstop is really short, but it stops a huge door because it has this leverage and angle to it that once the door hits it, it doesn't go anywhere. Jason Poe's kind of like a doorstop. He's really low, compact to the ground. He has this angle to him that is able to create leverage against pressure being pushed against him, and he can hold his ground. So Jason Poe, the doorstop, man, he looks pretty damn good. He looks pretty damn good. Um, so I like what I seen out of Jason Poe. Oh, Spencer Burford. Someone asked earlier about Spencer Burford. Um, Spencer Burford has looked really good all throughout training camp. Spencer Burford has definitely looked good all throughout training camp. Um, I see some other questions coming in. Let me get to these in a second. Jason Poe's look good, but I will be 100% honest. Uh, I tweeted out um, that the offensive line today looked really good with their protections, all that type of stuff. And then Spencer Burford gave up 2 pressures. I don't know if it was exactly back to back, but it felt back to back. Both were bull rushes. Um, so that's something that I've been able to kind of identify, or I've identified with both Aaron Banks and Spencer Burford is I would say Spencer Burford has been more consistent in stopping bull rushes, but still has a struggle here or there against stopping the bull rush. I think Aaron Banks has struggles stopping the bull rush, just like we talked about Jason Poe being low to the ground, creating good leverage. He can anchor and stop the bull rush. Aaron Banks is so big that it looks like it's hard for him to drop his hips and create the leverage and anchor, and so he can get bull rushed at times. Just because you're big doesn't necessarily translate into meaning like you're good at anchoring and able to take on a bull rush. So those are two things that I noted. But overall, Spencer Burford and Aaron Banks have looked like they are capable of starting. So that is a good sign for the 49ers. Let me get back to some of these questions. Are you going after going to camp? Would you change your season prediction, or is it still too early? No, I'm still in the same boat. I'm still in the same boat with my kind of predictions. This team is a really good roster. It's the same. It's the same exact thing. I don't feel any different. I feel like we knew that the defense was going to be elite. We talked about it coming into training camp. I would say I started out saying it was top 5. Then I said, you know what? Before training camp, I said, you know what? I think Detail challenged me one time. He's like, that's it, top 5. Everyone knows we're going to be top 5. I was like, fine, we're going to be the best defense in the NFL. How about that? How about that? So that's kind of where my tune has been at before training camp. So that's still on par. Still think the 49ers are going to have one of the best defenses. If you switch over to the offense, we knew the offensive line was going to be TBD. The offensive line is still TBD, but we know they have good weapons. Running back room is loaded. Trey Lance continue. We talked about him being a work in progress. He's a work in progress. So nothing has changed with my predictions. Still feels like this team will rely heavily on the defense, especially early in the year. And then it's up to Trey Lance and the offense to run the football and not turn it over. If they can do that, they're winning 10 games in their sleep. Uh, so literally nothing's changed. To be honest, these are all the things that we kind of conceptualized before the year, and uh, getting to camp. I think this is now day 9 that I've watched. Uh, I feel the same exact way. I still think offense is going to be a work in progress, but the defense is elite, but they still have weapons on the offense to get it done. Uh, Paul says, I sense a real struggle for Trey Lance in his first year of starting in the NFL, along with the unproven center right guard. I expect defenses will load the box and dare Trey Lance to beat them with his arm. Listen, like this should be awarded to a young quarterback at a certain point. Like Trey should be allowed to struggle. Like he will not be perfect. I'll say that again. Trey Lance will not be perfect. Trey Lance if he is an MVP can like if like you think he can be an MVP candidate, that is definitely a less likely outcome. I think is it a possibility? Of course, anything is possible. But if we're being honest with ourselves, Trey Lance will have his ups and he will have his downs. The biggest thing that we're trying to accomplish is like basically closing the gap in which the inconsistencies occur. We're trying to limit the errors and mistakes and draw more consistency out of the good plays. He can make every throw. I've seen it at training camp. He can make every throw, deep, outside the numbers, short to intermediate, in the flat. Doesn't matter. Trey can make every throw. It's can he make every throw consistently? And guess what? When you're young, you're still learning and you're getting your footing, you're going to be inconsistent with that. Will that be a real struggle? It might look ugly in the beginning of the year, but guess who else looked ugly in the beginning of the year? Jimmy Garoppolo was a big time veteran in this league. Uh, and, say what you want, Jimmy's still a good quarterback. And they couldn't get it figured out in the beginning of the year. It took them a while. And I look at these first 4 to 5 games at the beginning of the year as a preseason. I talk about it every year. Every year that I talk about football. First 4 games are preseason for the starters. First 4 games are preseason for the starters. The starters got to gel. They got to figure it out. They don't know exactly what they are. Hell, the 49ers didn't figure out what they were until week 10 last year, and they still went to the NFC Championship. So, again, it's how do you contextualize? I don't want people to freak out like when, Trey Lance has a 2 to 3 pick game. That is probably going to happen. And it's probably going to happen early. The point is understand that it will happen and it's okay. It's okay. We're going to be just fine. Why are we going to be just fine? We have a phenomenal defense. We have a phenomenal defense. We have a run game that appears to be ready to go yet again. Yes, do we have some inexperience on the interior? We do, but I think they will be good at run blocking, which is good for us. And then if Kyle can integrate play action and all pre-snap movements, and again, Kyle ran some wizardry today. Kyle ran some wizardry today. He had, I think it was Ray coming across formation. It looked like an end around. I think the entire offensive line went to the right with the direction of the end around, but it was somehow a pitch to the left. And you're just like, whoa. Straight up wizardry, man. Like Kyle is going to figure it out. He's going to be able to aid his quarterback, but that doesn't mean his quarterback is going to be perfect. And that is to be expected. We believe that Trey Lance is capable. He's good. He needs to stack reps. He needs to stack experience. And when he can do both of those things, the real growth will blossom from that. And again, like the 2-minute period today. The 2-minute period today, chef's kiss. Looked wonderful. Looked absolutely wonderful. But I do think they're gonna try to figure out like what Trey struggles with, and once they do, they're going to attack him, and then they're gonna have to figure out how to work around that. Shout out Angel, appreciate you, my guy, blessing me with the super chats. He says random questions. I like random questions. Emmanuel Sanders is a free agent. How would you feel if we brought him back? And is there any free agents that I like that are available? Well, the interesting thing about that, Angel, is the 49ers did bring in 2 free agents. They signed one of them. They signed Willie Snead, and they brought in D.D. Westbrook. So think that kind of answers our question, of what we think the 49ers would do if it was up to me and you know, they wanted to bring in, uh, Emmanuel Sanders. I'd be fine with that. If they wanted to bring in, could you imagine if they brought again, this we're getting way too crazy here. Getting way too crazy here because Angel's asking, and he's got my head spinning now. But what if we saw lined up on the outside, uh, Brandon Aiyuk, Debo Samuel, Odell Beckham Jr. That would be wild. Um, that would be absolutely wild. I mean, Kyle Fuller is still out there. They didn't opt for Kyle Fuller. Clearly, Antonio Brown is not going to step through those doors. You got guys like Cole Beasley, T.Y. Hilton, obviously Emmanuel Sanders, still available from the wide receiver position. So there are still guys that could theoretically come in. I don't know if they'd want a 35-year-old Deshaun Jackson, but guys like Adam Humphries are out there. John Ross is still available. Um, so they had their pick at the litter, and they chose Willie Snead. So we'll see. Um, any other guys that I wouldn't mind bringing in that are available free agents? Um, hmm, is Landon Collins really a free agent? I would bring in Landon Collins. I'd give Landon Collins a look. Like, I know we're pretty good at safety right now, but that would be interesting. He's still 28. I would give Landon Collins a tryout. I would be interested. Just to see. Just to see. Hey Landon, what are you doing these days? Want to come work out? Kevin King, I would give a look at. He's not the best, but I'd give him a look. Who else? That's about it. Dante Hightower potentially if you needed a linebacker, but a lot of these guys are old, long in the tooth, as they say. Long in the tooth. But good question. I like random questions. And shout out Angel. Appreciate the super chats, my guy. Hey, appreciate that Niner Sickness podcast. Appreciate that. Tell him, Rome. He says people still forget Lance hasn't really played consistent ball into that's Lance literally went from training, like playing the 2019 season. Just so you guys know, the last season that Trey Lance started and played was when the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl. That was the last time Trey Lance played. And if you're a 49er fan, it feels like forever since the 49ers were in the Super Bowl. So you can rationalize that's a long time to not play meaningful snaps under center in real meaningful games. Then COVID happens. In October, all he is doing is pre-draft training. All he is doing is training for his pro day. And he is learning how to throw from his pre-draft trainers all the way from October, from when I talked to his quarterback coach who trained him. They started in October and literally worked round the clock throwing until May. Then he's drafted. He's drafted by the 49ers, goes to OTAs and mandatory minicamp, comes out of mandatory minicamp, and they completely demolish his throwing motion from what he had been working from October to May. They got him into minicamp and they said, this is not it. Redo it all. Scrap it. And then he spent the rest of the summer retooling his mechanics. Then he got hurt. Yeah, dude. It's been crazy. So people have this expectation of him being amazing right away, and it's like, he has potential to be amazing, but allow him to see that potential, allow him to work towards that potential, allow him time to get there. He doesn't have to be that right away. Jay Tan says Trent Williams sent Jason Poe a text that he got something, check, and then he got a ride. Oh yeah, when Jason Poe, bro, I'm telling you, like Trent Williams 100% has vested interest in Jason Poe and Spencer Burford. 100%. Like Trent Williams 100%. Like when Burford makes a good rep, when Poe makes a good rep, guess who's there to give him a tap on the head? Guess who's there? Trent Williams. So Trent definitely got vested interest in those boys. Let's see here. Looking through some of the other points. Let's see. Hey, appreciate that, my guy. Says, like your show, bro. Just subscribe to the channel. Shout out to all the homies subscribing, liking, and notifying. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys are the best. Question: will George Kittle have over 1,000 yards this season? I think so. I think so. Again, we got to see a little glimpse of what this team actually looks like in a real kind of football situation. Like the football drills or the situational drills that they have run haven't been extended situational drills. Like this was the first situational drill today where it's like the offense actually had an opportunity to get into a rhythm. Like this, it felt like the first time that the starters got to stay on the field for more than 3 plays. They got to move the ball. They got to actually build and like they got into third down situations. They got into fourth down situations. Like they were able to actually function. And George Kittle caught 2 passes on that one drive. Trey Lance went to him early and quick. So I think, again, if George Kittle is playing 17 games, I absolutely think he's going to get 1,000 yards. 100%. 100%. Let's see. We're getting to that point though where we're going to wrap it up on the day. My guy Anthony's just been listening, saying excuses anytime we talk about Trey Lance. I wonder what Anthony wants to do with the quarterback position. I wonder what he wants to do. But anyways, it was pretty good practice today. Juwan Jennings has kind of rebounded a little bit. I still think Juwan Jennings would probably want to have a bit of a better practice. Offensive line is definitely trending in the right direction. Still not perfect. Still not like ultra pretty, but they are moving in the right direction. Say what you want. I like Nate Sudfeld, man. I like Nate Sudfeld. Think he is a good. Oh, we haven't talked about this guy. Samuel Womack. He's made a couple flash plays. Again, I'm not even watching the defense. Full disclosure, I'm pretty much watching the offense as much as I can, and I'll try to watch the defense if I can. But I'm pretty much trying to get an idea, of this offense. But Samuel Womack, back-to-back practices has flashed. They threw a screen pass to Malik Turner. Samuel Womack was all over it. He was absolutely all over it, completely shut it down instantly. Almost looked like it would have been a tackle for a loss, but it was pretty crazy. Keyshawn Johnson had a really nice catch today. We talked. Jimmy Ward had the interception on Lance. But yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. But anyways, Jason says, Brad, how much time does Trey get in live action during preseason? I don't know. I don't know. I think the 49ers biggest thing with the preseason is going to be health. So I don't know. I don't think he gets a whole lot. We'll see. He'll probably get like, I don't know if he plays that first game against the Packers. Like, we'll see. Maybe the O-line does, but Trey Lance got hurt in a preseason game. The 49ers don't want that. They need to go into the season with a healthy Trey Lance. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, I imagine that's not going to occur. So he'll get a little bit of run, maybe one full game, but I think they really don't want to get him hurt. Is really what it comes down to. So we'll go from there. But shout out to everyone who's tapped in. What are we at likes, by the way? What did we ever get to? Did our like gang ever show up? Did we ever smash that like button and get this thing to the moon? We're pretty much at 150. I doubt we can get to 200 before we shut this thing down. I don't know. Do we have, I mean, we have over 200 people in here. I bet there's 50 people listening right now haven't smashed that like button. You could do it. Can we get a 200 like show on a Saturday? Shout out Lake City Fresh. Says big SDS Saturday vibes, my brother. I keep hearing Tarvarius Moore is waking up. He was running with the ones today. Tarvarius Moore's been running with the ones, ladies and gentlemen. So, and I haven't seen anything that would indicate that he's not deserving. So, we'll see. He makes play a lot. Will they play him and Huff? I think they're going to play both. Again, I think we all kind of agree that, like we like Huff around kind of the line of scrimmage and things like that. He's really good in like the flat, short to intermediate, all those types of things. But Tarvarius Moore's got that range. You know what I mean? Like, he's fast. He's got great athletic skill set. And he feels like he's ready to go. He feels like he's ready to go. Hey, shout out Joshua. What's good, Josh? Let's see. We're at 165. We're at 165, huh? Oh, we can get to 200. We can get to 200 now. Come on. There are at least 30 lurkers right now. There are 30 SDS lurkers right now who are just vibing out to the 49ers content. Smash that like button, all my SDS lurkers. Again, you don't got to be active in the chat. You don't. You can. We love our SDS lurkers. Shout out all the SDS lurkers. We're damn near gonna have to make a shirt, SDS lurkers. But again, if you're just lurking in the background, all you gotta do is smash that like button. We'll be to 200 in about 2 seconds, and then we can end the stream on a right note. Come on. We know there's 30 of you. Let's go. Hey, anyways, shout out the squad though. Shout out to SDS, man. I'm just excited. I'm excited at this point in the off season. Yes, I'm slacking on this. I've been slacking on this. I got it loaded. I just got to drop it. So that's my bad. But so we'll get that figured away. Be on the lookout for that SDS merch. Be on the lookout. we're gonna have a first drop. We're gonna have a first drop. Then we're gonna have a second drop. And we're gonna have more drops. We're gonna keep developing. But yes. Uh my guy says, I know how to click the like button, but how do I smash it? Pretend you're Debo. Pretend you're Debo and Jalen Ramsey is the like button and you're trying to get a first down. And just imagine that you have to run through the like button like it's Jalen Ramsey and your Debo Samuel. You just punch it. Just punch it. Smash it. Debo. That like button, as Niners by nature would say. As Niner by nature would say. But yeah, I gotta get the merch out. Gotta get the merch out. Merch coming soon. Charlene says, we've been waiting for that SEO. I know you guys have been so patient. You guys are so patient with me. I appreciate you. Like I said, proceeds to punch the monitor. Well done, Josh. Good job. He said, all right, whap. Just completely now he's like, oh, my screen's broken. Thanks, Brad. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. But shout out Josh. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. But you already know, Brad Gang merch coming soon. 49ers football is going to be around the corner. Can you guys believe that we're going to have 49ers football next Friday? Like next Friday, the 49ers are going to be playing football. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What are we going to do with ourselves? So much room for activities. But again, appreciate all the squad. Ooh, shout out Jaguar. Just call you Jag for short. He says, Brad, what's your honest assessment on McGlinchey now with the pads on? Do you think Burford is the real deal? Will Banks be our left guard? And our center? This is a perfect question for me. My honest assessment as a Mike McGlinchey truther, trying to take the Mike McGlinchey truther hat off and to put on objective O-line evaluation hat on. I really like how Mike McGlinchey's looked. I've said it all along. I never thought him adding weight was going to cure the issues that we kind of saw him working through in 2020. I really did believe that his issues were around technique. And I feel like he attacked those things and he figured it out. And playing at 320 last year wasn't ideal for him. This year at 305, he looks much quicker. And a quicker, more technically sound Mike McGlinchey is going to be pretty solid for the 49ers. So far, he's looked good against Bosa. Now, he's not going to win every rep against Bosa. Trent doesn't win every rep against Bosa. I'd like to make that abundantly clear that Bosa has beaten Trent convincingly in team periods. So when you hear, oh, Bosa just beat McGlinchey, like Bosa beat Trent too. And Trent is a Hall of Famer right now. So what I've seen from Mike is I've seen the quickness, and he cleaned up the technical stuff last year, but now he's lighter, which I think is actually going to benefit him more. So with Mike McGlinchey being lighter, more he is just going to be more nimble on his feet. I think that's actually going to aid him in this process. So my honest assessment is I couldn't be happier with where Mike is right now. To be perfectly honest with you, I could not be happier. I think he's in a good spot. I really do. I don't see any limitations from the injury. I think he's in a good spot. Do I think Burford is the real deal? I do believe Burford is the real deal, and I was also kind of skeptical on Burford. Um, Obviously, they drafted him as a tackle, and I was like, I didn't do a whole lot of study on Burford because I watched him as a tackle, and I was like, he doesn't. He's so big and like totally has a tackle body. He moves really well. Um, But, like, even through the evaluation process, I was like, he looks like he doesn't look like a tackle in our scheme. He looks like a guard. That was the first thing I said when the 49ers drafted him. I watched him again. I'm like, this guy doesn't look like a tackle. He looks like a guard. But he's huge. And I was like, I didn't know, like, because I'm trying to evaluate through the 49ers process. And I was like, he doesn't look like a tackle to me. He looks like a guard in the NFL. So I was, like, a little skeptical. Any skepticism that I had is gone. He moves really well. Once he locks in and gets the experience, like, Burford has the potential to be a pretty special. I think he has a potential to be this, like, I don't think it's outlandish to say that he could be a special guard in this league because he's so big and he moves really well. Those 2 things are hard to find. Sometimes you're just really big and you don't move really well, or you move really well and you're not very big. He's kind of both. So I think he is. I think Burford's a real deal. Will Banks be our left guard? Yes. And our center, I love Brunskill. You guys know I want Brunskill to be the center. It feels like they're going to give the first crack to Brendel. That's what it feels like. Um, I like Brunskill. I would put Brunskill at center. I know Brunskill's kind of still like working through the snapping again because he's not a center, so he's kind of having to adjust on the fly. But Brendel has been a center his whole career. So it does feel like Brendel is kind of trending towards being that center. It's been back and forth. So like one day I'm like, oh, it's Brunskill, and then like, oh, it's back to Brendel, and I'm like, okay, I have no idea. But it does feel like it's definitely trending towards Brendel at the moment, especially after hearing the head offensive line coach talk about it. So it feels like it's going to be Brendel, but I love the offensive line questions. That's for sure. Um, are we like 10 likes away? Are we like 10 likes away? We can do 10 likes. We can do 10 likes and get to 200. Come on. Come on, SCS. Let's do it. The sprint to 200 likes is on. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Do it. Do it. We can get to 200. We got to hit our goal today. It's a Saturday. We're going to be back at practice tomorrow for Sunday, day 10. So I'll be back again to 49ers practice for the 10th day. Oh boy. Oh boy. So much football lately, but I'm going to be back again. I will be back again tomorrow, and we will again evaluate what is going down with the boy. Okay, we're like 5 away. We're like 5 away. We can do it. Come on now. Smash that like button like your life depends on it. Come on, we're so close. They're so close. Oh yeah, Tarvarius saying that there's 2019 vibes in the air. 100%. There's 2019 vibes in the air. Remember, Jimmy, there's a lot of question marks around Jimmy going into 2019 with his ACL injury, with lots of questions around Jimmy. Oh, we're almost there. Come on. Let's hit it so we can celebrate, and then we can end this thing. Let's get to 200. Oh boy, we did it. Let's go. Shout out the SDS. You guys are legendary. We hit 200 likes. Let's go. I love to see it. Oh, let's change the lights. That's about all we can do right now. Do we have any like rave lights? Do we have 200, 200. Well, shout out you guys. We did it. I put the rave lights on behind me. We got to figure it out. Once we hit our like goals, we're gonna work it up. I keep saying that we're gonna get it done. But shout out all the SDS. Shout out the Sourdough Squad. Shout out to everyone saying what's up at training camp. I've ran into a lot of you guys. You guys make me feel like a superstar out here at times, man. Holy snaps! Shout out Rock Sauce. It's appreciate you. He says this is like the 2019 team plus having Cap at quarterback. Trey gonna take it all. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, like a prime Cap rocking with the 2019. That would be nuts. That would be nuts. But appreciate your donation, Rock Sauce. Really do appreciate it. First time I feel like we've seen Rock Sauce around here. So welcome to the squad, Rock Sauce. Shout out all the SDS, all the bread gang. Let's go. Appreciate all the homies in here. Yes, we need the sound effects. Let's go. Shout out everyone. We'll be back tomorrow for more updates. My guy says, yo, Brad, warning to have your tissues ready when you watch BY's Hall of Fame speech. I will get that ready. I want to actually watch that right now. When we get it done. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate everyone who sent a super chat. Appreciate all the SDS. Just vibing. My guy says, Josh says, I'm not a member of the SDS, but I am subscribed. I do appreciate your content and all the hard work you do. Well, that's it, man. All you got to do is be subbed to the channel, smash the like button, and bring good vibes, and you're part of the SDS. So you are in, my guy. You are in. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So Josh rocking with the SDS. Appreciate all the good vibes from everyone. Appreciate all the homies always tapping in. Good to see all the gang in the building. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here. We hit 200. Trey looked good today. 49ers look good today. It's a good time. Appreciate you guys.